It's an attitude, a motivation, a deep-seated spirit. It's an inner strength to keep your feet planted firmly on the ground, no matter what presses against you. It's self-confidence. It's belief. It's a way of life. It's Fezek Athletics. Shop now at www.fezekeathletics.com to get your fitness gear now. Conquer your physique.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're at. This is episode 7 of the Men and On the Podcast. I'm here with my brothers, Frank, Greg, Joe. How you brothers doing today, man?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Good.
Feeling good.
Same way.
Okay, all right, good. Well, like we had said last week in that last episode, we were starting something new, adding a new piece to the podcast, and that's now video, where everyone can put some faces to the voices. I'm up here looking like I'm in quarantine. Greg look like he be out there working like he's been doing. Joe, same thing. Frank, I don't know what's that's on your head, but we'll just go with it.
Dang, come out with a discrimination already. Dang, we already got issues now. Brother can't express anything. Like, you know what I mean? I'm bored in the house. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to do? I can't get a haircut. I gotta do something.
Hey man, you do.
I'm like Martin. Remember when he went to the temple? Remember when Martin went to the temple and he came back?
But he had like a beard though. What a beard that, man.
Yeah, that joint make me itch, man. I can't, and it breaks me out, so I gotta shave.
Yeah,
it breaks my face out, so I can't. Like once that joint start growing in, I'll like.
Greg, you got a fresh boy. I know you ain't cutting yourself.
No, I didn't cut myself. I had to break down and call Rel, my barber. It was.
You went to him?
Look, we gonna keep the particulars. The particulars, you know what I mean?
He drove out there. He took that hour drive.
But hold on. So let me just say this.
Hey, bro.
Last week it was 80 degrees.
In a heartbeat.
That fro it wasn't hitting it. You know what I mean? The fro wasn't getting it with like 80, 90 degrees, man.
Yeah.
Like go sit in your car with the windows down. It's real hot, and then sit there with. That's why it had to happen. It had to happen.
But I mean, Greg, I figured you would do that anyway, because you still working. You know what I mean, out there every day. So me.
I was trying to hold out, but
nah, bro, this ain't.
Shout out to Rel, appreciate that.
This ain't. Shout out to Rel. This ain't coming off until we can go outside for real. I'm gonna be in this mud like James Harden.
It will be soon if this protest keep going on. So it will be soon.
Yeah. I mean, you led us right into it. Let's start it out. Before we start, I just wanted to again say rest in peace to George Floyd. I know they had a memorial service for him. I believe it was today, either today or yesterday. But everyone's outraged. Everyone's protesting in various cities around the nation. Here in Philly, L.A., Minnesota, of course, Atlanta, everywhere. So, let's just get into it. The protesters, rioters, looters. Joe, let's start out with you on this because I know this is something that you really wanted to start out with.
Yeah. So my biggest concern with the whole thing is, I'm on Facebook, I'm on social media, and what I'm seeing a lot of is negativity towards the protesters.
Mm-hmm.
And my concern is that, I mean, looters, rioters, protesters, they're all different categories. And, you can't point the finger at the protesters because they're the ones out there trying to do it the right way. The rioters and the looters are the ones that are out there, the looters, an example, are out there for financial gain, we'll say. They want to get something out of this that's quick and easy and done. The rioters, on the other hand, even though they're protesters, nonetheless, they're a little more violent about it. Even though, if you look around, it hasn't been that bad. Like, there's a lot of riots, but there's not mass killings. There's not, you know what I mean? Like, so it hasn't been that bad. But, in general, a looter is somebody who steals for personal gain. A rioter, and I'm just pulling up the definitions here real quick. It's a noisy, a violent public disorder caused by a group, crowd of persons protesting against another group. And then a protester, a person who publicly demonstrates a strong objection to something as a demonstrator. They're not violent. They're out there. Here's what we want. Here's what we're trying to do. And in my mind, and nobody has to agree with me, of course, protesting peacefully is the way to go. But you can't control everybody.
Okay. Anybody else wanna add on to that?
I would just say this: like, America was born out of like rioting. Like, they teach you about it. Like, the Boston Tea Party was the reason why, taxation without representation. So America's history is rooted in rioting, protesting, and of that sort. So at a certain point, like, I think people are just shocked to see that on this level. You know what I mean? They weren't, and you kind of gotta blame it on because everybody's home during COVID, so they're watching this all unfold versus someone's at a party, someone's driving to go on vacation, and they're missing it. You literally have the whole country sitting at home for the most part, seeing all this, and that's what I think people are shocked at. But the history, all throughout history of America, has been rioting, looting, and burning stuff down from start to finish, start up to now. Like, it's ingrained in its history. So, I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying, like, it's not shocking because it's just normal. It's normal behavior in this country.
Yeah. Frank?
I'll go last on this one.
I mean, Greg, you touched on a lot of points that I was going to hit on. I mean, rioting, doing things with that type of anger, that type of force. That's how America began. That's how it started, right? Like, you got to think, like, the Native Americans was here when, the settlers came over here and they took the country from. I mean, to me, protesting and doing this, what this speaks of is that we're just tired. We're angry. We're fed up. You have all these other, groups and things like that protest, most recently, of course, and rightfully so, most recently, of course, is the LBGTQ. If I'm saying that wrong, forgive me, but, they had to protest for their rights and they got their rights, and black folks, we're saying for 400 years we've been going through this. Like, when do we get our full rights? When does that 3/5 of a man, as it relates to a black person, when does that change? When are we all treated on equal ground? So, I get it. Protesting. And I hope that we continue this. I hope this isn't something that just for the time being, for the next couple of months, we're just all into. I hope until things change, I hope that part stands. And rioting and looting, conspiracy theory is, a lot of times that's not us. That's people that's infiltrating the protest and starting that. So, that's basically all I got to say about that, man.
Before I start, before I get into what I'm going to talk about, and so Greg and all you guys hit the key point or some of the key points on there. What I'm about to say is something that I'm passionate about, and it's not that it's hatred in my voice or anything into it. It's just that by being a black man and being on this planet for so long, you see so much, and you see so much things develop. As a kid growing up to a teenager to a man, and as you're a man, you see everything when everything comes together. So but what I'm about to say, I don't want it to seem that I have some type of anger or anything like that. I just have so much mixed emotions, and I'm very passionate about the whole situation. But to get into the protesters, the rioters, and the looters, like you guys point out, America was built on violence. That's how America was built. Greg already mentioned the Boston Tea Party. We had the Detroit riots. We had the LA riots. We had the Pennsylvania,
Wall Street.
the Pennsylvania Army men when they went to protest against some kind of federation against the law. You gotta put yourself in a situation, Joe. If you're in a situation where I take everything from you and you're trying to survive, that's where the looters come in. These people are trying to survive. They don't have anything. You know what I mean? These are people that don't have the opportunity, or they don't have nothing in their household, so they're trying to survive. So this is how they react. So I don't get mad at the looters. I don't get mad at the rioters and anything like that. It's just the media is a powerful weapon, and the way they portray it is something that's never going to be fixed. And you can't control that. In people's eyes. So when, like I said, what I was saying in the last podcast, where these higher power people, what they do is they put certain people in these protests, in these riots, and these looters, like to start up and stir up things. So when you don't see it, and then when you watch it on TV, it's like the protesters are rioting. They're the ones that's throwing these water bottles and throwing all this. It's not really them. And like they said, there's a lot of people that's from out of state that they don't even know that's coming in, So, and, for that to happen and for people to see it, people are going to get angry and upset because they don't see the whole picture. They're only seeing what they see on the news or anything like that. They're not really told the whole story of what really is going on, So with the looters, do you get upset? Like Greg said, like, I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to survive, Now, if for a black man in the black community, you don't want that to happen in your community because that's all we had, When we had the Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a certain group, meaning African Americans, was made out of wealth. We had jobs, we had our own, car business, everything was running for us. Our own money was circulation and everything like that. And what happened was, you have these white supremacy group that got jealous and upset, so they made up a story that a young black man did something to a girl on an elevator. And that's what caused the whole riot, because then everybody's coming out and stating, oh, this black man violated this white girl, and then this whole riot. And what happened? They destroyed everything. What I mean, everything. I mean, like millions, like probably over $30 million of damaged buildings, homes, businesses, and left them with nothing.
But Frank, don't short sell it. Don't sell it.
I'm not short selling. I can go deep. I can go deep into it.
No. I'm gonna just say this. Like, this is a twisted thing. It wasn't just the people. The government got involved. They deputized those people. Yeah. They bombed those people.
Yeah. I was about to get into that. Yes.
And the sick thing is They never did a body count.
Nope.
They just made up an arbitrary number
Mm-hmm.
and did a mass grave, and they still don't know where it is. It's somewhere in Tulsa, Oklahoma, somewhere. And that whole situation, they don't teach it. Like, if you don't read
At
about
all.
it, you don't know about it.
They
They'll
don't
sit
teach it
there
at
and
all.
tell you, like, they'll teach that the Oklahoma City bombing, which happened in, I believe, the 90s. I might be wrong. Was the worst domestic terrorism that ever happened. That was it was actually Black Wall Street. If you actually go back, it was Black Wall Street. It wasn't Oklahoma. It was in Oklahoma.
It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, I'm just saying, it was in the state of Oklahoma. It's just not the one it's not the one they said.
And it said it was 35. I'm reading it now. 35 square blocks district that that got damaged, and it says here about 10,000 Black people were left homeless and property damage amounted to more than 1.5 million in real estate, 750,000 in personal property, equivalent to 32.25 million, which is equivalent to 2019. So when you hear that and when you see it nowadays, you're like, it makes sense. All this stuff, it makes sense. This is the only way that a message is going to be made. And throughout history, it's been like that ever since the beginning of time. And this goes further, back into time. So that's my input on that.
Okay, that's good points. Joe, you want to
hold on?
No, go
I
ahead.
just want to double back.
Go ahead, bro.
The only thing, my thing, like I said, I'm apathetic to it, but at the same time, as a person that looks at those communities, and I got family that live in those communities.
Yeah.
Do I want it to happen? No, because you don't know if those businesses are going to open up.
Right.
And you got people that are living there that can't go to the supermarket or can't get their medicine or can't get whatever they need to might survive. So, am I a proponent of burning down with your house? No, I'm more of a proponent of what Killer Mike said, where he said, strategize, organize, plan, and make your moves accordingly, versus destroying where you're going to stay and lay your head. And as Frank said, like, there is multiple videos out there of people that don't live in that community coming in, and there's a video on the internet where it was two white ladies spray painting on the restaurant Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And two black ladies stopped her, like, hey, like, you need to stop. Like, we're not doing that. And they were like, oh, we just wanted you to know that we're for the cause. And they say, yeah, but you're going to leave and go home, and they're going to blame us. They're going to blame us. They're going to think we did it, and we didn't do it. You did it.
And that's
I know that's what you.
And that's their
about.
and that's their justification to retaliate on the protesters, because they can't point out who's doing this.
Who actually did it?
Yep. And that's their justification.
So that's why I like I said, I understand everybody's anger, so I ain't mad at it. So I'm looking at it like, okay, you went that far, cooler heads now. Let's strategize, organize, and do it in a way where it'll be productive. You know what I mean? Emotional reaction isn't always the best reaction.
And
it's usually the rawest reaction.
And that's my point. We're just starting this out, right? Like, as far as the protesting on with this in this matter, and like you said, people are angry. So you have people out there that's angry. They're out here, they're rioting and they're looting. I get that, but the thing is, we have to stay together. We have to continue to protest, in a responsible way, so that we can get things done. I mean, it's set up against us. I mean, so in order for us to, to hear our voices, to get our voices heard, we have to stick together.
And you got to realize the looting lashes out to capitalism, So that's one thing that people are upset as well too, And at the end of the day, once this is done, we just can't take our feet off the pedal. We got to keep going.
Keep going.
We got to keep going,
Yep.
And that's the one thing I hope that we do.
Yeah.
And the scary thing is for me is the verdict. That's the scariest thing for me. Like, it's different when you hear I was I guess a young kid when they had the Rodney King riots and hearing the verdict and being in Orange County and seeing your uncles running out as soon as they hear the verdict and go down LA. It's like, what's going on, But now being an adult watching this verdict, that's a scary thing because I don't know how the world is going to react if this thing gets out of hand,
Well, hold up, real quick, little side introduction. Erik Castano, another member of the Men of Honor podcast, has finally joined us. So, going to bring him in. What's going on, E?
Appreciate y'all. What's going on, y'all? Got a little late this evening.
That's all right. At least you're here now, bro.
He got a baggy white beater, man. He got a baggy white beater. He look like somebody's hot ass grandpa.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm doing what I do on Saturdays. I'm at my house watching UFC, eating chicken wings and drinking beer.
Okay. But we was talking about the first topic, the protesters, rioters, and looters. You want to add something in to that, bro?
I think.
Hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. Could you mute your TV a little bit?
Hold on. Let me get up and get out the way.
Don't look for his wife beater up too.
Oh man, this boy sitting up here was eating a full chicken wing with drinking a beer. Like, only eat, man. Only eat. But while he's getting ready, Joe, did you want to add something, bro? I know you had was speaking to one of your friends, and they was trying to organize a peaceful protest up in the area.
Yeah, so it was kind of shocking, place I grew up all my life, pretty much, and he went to organize a peaceful march to the police department just to have a conversation.
And they're saying,
hold on, E.
Hold on, E. Joe's add something. Hold on, E. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
So he decided to do a peaceful protest at the police station, and he coordinated with the township. He talked to the township manager. He did everything right. Well, somebody took his post up in arms, shared it on the Warminster Patch post, and people went nuts.
Wait,
and
who are you talking about?
A friend of ours growing up, Greg knows him.
I heard of him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Who is his name? Can we say his name, or is that restricted?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he wants his name.
Yeah, I'll hold on. I'll text you on the side.
Do we know him? All right, okay.
Maybe you guys may not know him like Greg and I do. That's why.
He got his chest hair out.
Yeah.
So he sets this whole thing up.
Tell this dude to put a shirt on. I'm sorry, Joe.
Go ahead, Joe.
Put it on, man.
He sets this whole thing up.
Yo. All right, Joe. Go ahead, Joe. Come on, man.
I see the post from somebody I know, and I called that person up, and I'm like, hey, I was like, it's going to be a peaceful protest. Why don't you take your post down and not draw negative attention to this? And the person said to me that they, well, you can see what's going on in Philadelphia right now. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be like that all over the place. I said, there's more peaceful protests going on than violent ones. I said, you need to give it a chance. You need to allow it to happen. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at the post and I'm seeing people saying, well, we're locked and loaded. We'll be in the front yards waiting. Well, now you're making it violent. And that was not.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No. What I'm saying on this patch against the protest, they were saying they were going to be guns out, ready to go. When these protesters go violent, they're ready. And my problem was no, that's not the object of this. The object of this was to go in, talk to the chief of police, get some answers, get some ideas, be in front of this instead of behind it. So if it ever happened in my hometown, that it didn't have to be a riot then. So everything was set up perfectly. Go ahead, Frank.
I don't think that it would be a riot from the post that I saw. he was trying to get a protest, meaning a march, like they did in Edmonton, and they
Yep.
didn't even get no clearance. So you really don't need any clearance.
No.
You can protest all you want. You don't need to go through all that. But getting back to the point where Southampton and Warminster, where it's very, some of those cops over there, it has to be cleaned up as well too. Because me growing up there, getting pulled over so many times that my dad was in the military with military tags and still getting pulled over and still getting harassed just because, it's a black kid driving around in a Mercedes in that neighborhood, and they're like, "What is this?" Like stuff like that shouldn't happen, and that's the stuff that I went through growing up in Warminster and Southampton. So, and those cops definitely need to, be reformed and figure out, the issues just the same way as Philadelphia, because it's not just Philadelphia, LA, Texas, Detroit.
The major cities,
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's in the suburbs. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, and that's the thing. Like, it's hard for an African American to move out in the suburbs and trying to intervene and try to move it and try to maneuver in that way, because it's so hard for them, because they get pointed out, they get targeted, and it should never be like that. But it's history, that's all I could blame it on, is just history, I guess.
No, it's a fact. It's history.
Yeah, no, I got you. But my point was is this guy was going to do it right, and I appreciated it. And I promoted it in a good way.
Yeah.
Now, on the same thing, I got the negative comment about, well, Joe, you're naive. I'm just not scared. Like,
Right.
I've seen the good side of all this. I've seen the good side of everybody I grew up with. That being said, my town, my current town, and the town around the corner did this. We had Black Lives Matter, the NAACP out here, and it was perfect. No violence, no rioting, no looting, a peaceful protest, a vigil. Like, it was a perfect 2 days.
But see, that's like what Frank touched on. The negative of it, like, the rioting, the looting, and all that. That's promoted by the media. That's what everyone thinks they're like. No, not every protest, not every march is like that. We can have a civilized march. We just want everyone to know, in all Frey saying, all these suburban cities and rural cities around, that we matter. Like, we're tired of being singled out. Like, we want to be treated like everyone. Like Frank said, yeah, he was riding around in the Benz, but so what? Like, why can't he be riding around in the Benz? Why does he have to be singled out? And be viewed as, okay, this young kid's riding around in the Benz. What is he, a drug dealer? What is he out here doing? Is he out here doing something illegal? No, I'm riding around in my father's Benz, who's in the military, and it just so happened base housing is stationed out here. So, all right, let's get E in here.
E, you there?
No,
All right, come on, bro.
there's been
Great. Get him.
there's been a lot of like they had a whole lot of Black Lives Matter marches out here in Virginia. There's been a couple of like looting out here in Hampton. There was some looting out in Norfolk, some in Portsmouth. So like it's been a little bit like of some controversy out here. A lot of it was because allegedly cops started the situation. Some people say there was some footage that a truck drove through the crowd and started the stuff down at the oceanfront. Point of all this to me, in this has been a bomb that has been waiting to explode for decades, and we can go back to Rodney King if you want to go back to that. We can go back to Emmett Till if you want to go back to that. I mean, we can go. I mean, this racism has not just didn't happen overnight. This has been going on and on and on and on and on way back before Martin Luther King. Like, we can go back to that. We can go back to Emmett Till, whatever. My point of all this is to say, it now has this, to me, in my opinion, was the spark that lit the TNT bomb. I feel like now everyone has now seen that enough is enough. Like, Frank made a valid point the last time we spoke, and I can agree with what you said, Frank. We do need something like a Malcolm X movement to actually have this this country wake up and be like, you know what, this enough is enough, and bloodshed has to be done, and businesses have to be ruined, and stuff like this has to happen, because if you don't, then it's just going to continue to happen. And unfortunately, people are going to have to suffer from it. This is part. It's like war. People are going to have to suffer because of this. We don't want this to happen. We don't ask for this to happen. And coming from, my ethnic background is not, I'm Latino, so I don't know. I can't sit here and put my perspective in ways of what a black man goes through. I don't sit here and try to sit here and say what Rock goes through, what Greg goes through, Frank goes through. Anybody?
Oh,
I know.
You went out.
you gotta check your Wi-Fi, bro.
You there?
And now it's
I'm good.
popping
I'm
in.
You good?
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I was saying was, I can't sit here and tell y'all or tell what it's like to be in y'all shoes, because I don't know what it's like to be in y'all shoes. Point blank and simple. But I don't know what it's like to be in Joe's shoes. I don't know what it's like to be in Frank's shoes. I don't know, but I know what it's like to be in my shoes. And I've been discriminated against. I've been discriminated against by cops. I've been harassed by cops. But we won't see that on TV as much as you'll see a black man stuff on TV, because the black man's been discriminated upon for years and decades and so on and so forth. And this is just the way it has been for so many years now, that people, and the black man especially, has had enough. And what about the black woman who's been discriminated in this country for even years before this whole thing? What about them? When have they ever had a voice to speak upon it? Have they ever had a chance to vote upon their whole their side of the story? No. So there's a lot more to this than meets the eye than what we're talking about when it just comes to just one particular race. This is a huge a problem with the nation, a problem with the government, a problem with the way people see things. Like, I saw the lady what is her name? Jane Elliott. I think that's her name, Jane Elliott. She does an exercise where she puts these green collars on people and divides them into green eyes and blue eyes. Freaking, you guys got to see her exercise on YouTube.
Seen it many times.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking excellent, and it breaks down the way it works, and then how the blue eyes and the green eyes and the brown eyes. I mean, it makes people feel completely uncomfortable to the third degree, to the point where people cry. They feel like belittled and degraded. But ask the black man how he's been dealing with it for decades. Ask the black man who's been dealing with it when he goes to work. Ask the black man when he walks down the street. Ask the black woman what it feels like when she's got to go to work in a white man's world. I mean, whatever. I mean, the thing is this has been happening. So what you're seeing right now, and what we're seeing right now, is a total reflection of what's been happening for so many years. And like I said, it's unfortunate that businesses are getting moved. It's unfortunate that people are hell raising and they're doing what they're doing. And looting is definitely not the answer. You're right. It's not the answer. We don't want to see people's businesses get destroyed. And it's sad that a black man's business has to get destroyed in the conquest of this whole thing. And I'm sorry to say that has to happen even in their own communities, that their businesses have to get destroyed. But some people are they're anarchists that are in their own people are destroying their own neighborhoods just to do it on purpose, or different color or different races are going into the same neighborhood to cause more problems and to cause more chaos. And that's not even the proper way to do things. We want peaceful protests. I understand that, and we can have peaceful protests, and that's fine. But until you get the message across to the people that are in the White House or in the government that this is not going to be acceptable, you're going to keep having this. And here in Virginia, we're having this. We're having marches. There's been a march every single day since this has been happening. A march every single day. There's been a march at Town Center. There's been a march in Hampton, Portsmouth, Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Every day there's a march here. Every day. Some of them are peaceful. Some of them are quiet and calm. But then there's been 2 or 3 days where it hasn't been.
Now when that verdict comes,
it's been that tear gas. And again, we will see when the verdict will come. But right now,
when that verdict comes,
when the cops have been all upgraded to the charges that they need to be charged with.
Yep. Shout out to Attorney General Keith Ellison.
Right. So we're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to see what's going to happen now, if the justice is going to take place or not. But beyond that, there's still police brutality even happening as we speak today. An old man got shoved down the street in Buffalo. What happened to that? Did anybody see that?
But that's the issue I was talking about last time. These are these white supremacists, that these certain groups that are infiltrated into the police, because there's no way that two police get suspended without pay and then 57 resign because they got suspended. That just tell you as a human being that what they just did was okay with you.
Right.
And you gotta imagine. And that's just
I don't sit here and condone anything that they do. And this is what there are good cops. I'm not gonna say I know plenty of good cops. There are plenty of good cops out here in this world because they stand for what they believe in and they stand for to protect and serve. But again, one apple spoils a whole bunch, and unfortunately we have this situation.
But don't call them
where
apples.
they ruin everything. You know what I mean? They ruin it for everybody, and they ruin it for good cops that are out there. And unfortunately, this is what happened. And this didn't happen to me for too long. I mean, like you said, Frank, for the Rodney King verdict and all that shit that happened, this happened for many years ago.
Many, it's hundreds of years before that. But this is going on hundreds of years, man.
But this was the bomb. This was the bomb that happened, though. This was what it took. You see what I'm saying? This was what it took. This is Floyd, with Floyd getting killed, and us seeing it on visually seeing this man dying on TV.
No, but you gotta put it in context. See, this is the deal. This has happened a bunch of times. There's been a bunch of times.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. Yeah.
But hold on, but let me finish my point. The thing that's different was the whole world was still. So the whole there's nothing.
Yep. Nothing else to flood your mind. Yeah, to overshadow it. Yeah.
So like literally everybody got to see like, wow, like are you serious? Are you serious? This just happened? So now what you're seeing is a reverberation because people go, you know what? Nah, they were right. People were complaining about it. Like you saw the NFL this week make a PSA and now
and say nothing about Kaepernick name. That's crazy.
Okay, but they apologized for everything. They didn't say Kaepernick's name, but the apology is an apology. Did you ever think you would see it from the NFL?
Yeah, but to me that's a half-ass apology because you have to put him in it. Like you have to say his name because he was always this quote unquote scapegoat for you to say like that's bad for the league and all. So like don't sit up and apologize and then not mention his name because to me that's a half-ass apology.
Yeah, but see that's my bad. Excuse me. The thing of it is, the commercial that the players did, they never asked for a cat to get an apology. They just asked for an apology from the NFL. See, they did exactly what the players asked them to do. The players didn't ask for Cap to get an apology. So before you go after them, if you listen to the commercial that the players put out, they did word for word what they asked for.
So is that genuine? Yeah. But is that genuine then? You just basically take like
that's genuine, yeah. It's not like he came up with that. He actually saying what they told him to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That wasn't if that came out for him
on his own,
yeah. Then okay. But still at the same time, the same thing they did to Doug Williams when he was in the Redskins and they blackballed him. That was an issue and they never talked about it and they blackballed him. You know? And then after that, there wasn't really no issue because, you know, all the players was like I said, the NFL has its own government, and the way they run is strictly, you know, for certain people, you know. And now that I hope it start opening up doors, you know, for coaches and GMs and things like that after this whole incident. But it's just bad that something like this has to happen. You know, something like this has to happen. And the thing is, with the loitering thing, like go back to the loitering thing, like me and Greg was talking about, it was okay for them to do it to us, you know, come in there, destroy, do all this. That's where Lulin came from. You know what I mean? They started that whole thing, but then now when we do it and damage, you know,
we're thugs, we're terrorists. This is Donald Trump words, bro.
But it's not. But when it damages, the I guess the white stores and everything like that. Now it's an issue, But if we do it in our own neighborhood, we're not gonna catch it. But we're gonna go into New York City where they're going to Michael Kors, going to CVS, they're going to other stores. Oh, they literally they're doing all this. But come on, go show what they're doing in the black community if you want to show it like that. They do show small ones, but at the same time, we do tell we try to educate our people that we can't damage our living area, our home, because that's all we have, But when you go out and you hit this big name, you got to remember, America makes money off of the African Americans, so they destroy, they get insurance money. So we got to, we like you said, we got to revamp, we got to restructure, we got to re-strategize on how we approach certain things. And it's so hard to put in place because when you got the protesters, the rioters, and the loaders, I look at it as the upperclassmen mixed with the middle class for the protesters, and then you got the rioters, which is the mixed middle class that's upset, like the regular middle class is with the government, and then you got the looters is the lower income where they're just upset and they're frustrated. They don't know what to do. They're just gonna go out and just grab what they want to take, So that's how I look at it at a point where if it's our own community, it's kind of like you said, you got to reach out to them and say, hey, don't damage what we built, in our community. If if you're doing it on purpose or you're doing it on the strength of you have no guidance, then that's something that we can't weed out. It's tough to weed something out like that.
Okay.
Hey, real quick.
Hold on. Go ahead, Joe.
I just a fact checked on that, just so you guys know. Those 57 police officers didn't resign completely, just off the emergency task force.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, what that cops did was wrong.
No, but look at it from this angle. And I'm not saying this is true because it's not in this statement at all. But what if they just didn't want to be out in harm's way? Something like that happens to the next two, and then the next two, and then the next two, and everybody gets in trouble. Who knows what they're going to say?
Right, but they have a say, and they're the ones patrolling the street. Like you're not. If a man falls down and I'm a policeman, I see another policeman push a man down for no reason, he fall, I'm definitely going down to pick him up. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and say, somebody grab me like, oh, you're a kid. No, this is a human being. You literally just pushed them for no reason. There's something they hate. You know what I mean? That's something that's hatred, or I don't know what you want to call it.
But right. See, that's that gang mentality, though. Like, you're not going to do that because then you'll be ostracized by the other police officers. They quick to say and put out statements. If you see something, say something. But
it's a human being.
I know.
No matter if I'm a cop,
Again, I agree with you.
As a human being, I'm not gonna sit there.
I agree. That's me and you. But I'm just saying, but in that with them, like some officers do want to say something, but they're afraid to say something.
The blue wall.
Yeah. So they're not going to do it because then they're afraid of the backlash that they get from their fellow officers.
Let's see what comes out of this one, though. I mean, we can't make an assumption off of something we don't really know much about. All I know is they didn't drop completely off the police force, just off the emergency force.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know too much about this situation, but cases in the past show this. Most recently with the George Floyd thing, like that one officer. Like, look, man, we're applying the legal hose to this guy. Look, he's down, he can't breathe. Let's just get up off of. Like, as a human being, like Frank said, that's what I would have said. Like, all right, we got him down. Let's just let up off of him. He's not resisting or whatever you thought he was doing. Let's just let up off of him and let him get some air. He probably really can't breathe. So, all right. I
just wanted to say one thing. This for the people listening at home or watching on the video. Go do your homework. There's been many black town burned, looted, rioted upon, mass murder, everything.
Facts.
And throughout American history. So, like, the only reason why you may be shocked to see the looting now and the rioting now is because you weren't taught about how much actually went from start to finish. Like, from the time from the Tea Party all the way up to now. Like, it's been a lot, and they won't teach it in schools, and that's why a lot of people don't know about the actual history of our country.
And a lot of laws got changed because of those riots and riots and things like that. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My
Good
only
points.
thing I want to say is, and I know it's probably not a good thing to say, but I'm actually glad the coronavirus came through because it showed everybody that were at home. You had to stay at home, and you actually got a chance to see what really happened. So,
What goes on in America?
What goes on in America? So people that were actually at home, they got a chance to see what really happens when this stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? So the coronavirus, to me, it was a gift and a curse. Obviously, I mean, it's fucked up that people died and people, but it also brought light to what the situation is and the problem that we have in America with this whole racism thing, and also, like you said, Greg, educate yourself. Get yourself, get your facts straight. And go look at this. The lady, Jane Elliott. I think her exercises were fantastic, and it gives a really broad.
Her videos are really good.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it just really gives you a really, really good perspective, and like it hits you home if you don't really understand how it is. And people that don't really understand why or how or where it came from or how it is, she brings it like right to like she brings it to the meat and potatoes of it, and that's what I think that's what America really needs right now.
No, Minister Louis Farrakhan been trying to tell y'all for years, but they want to portray him as some
vigilant. Yeah.
You can say she's the Louis Farrakhan, but the female version in the education.
No, see, that's the thing. That's the thing I get upset with is that our people have been saying this for years. Our black leaders have been saying this for years. But then it goes around to some, like, I'm not getting onto this white woman or anything like that. But if it's a white woman that's portraying this, it's okay. It's okay to go listen to, to follow her and listen to her. But Minister Louis Farrakhan, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is saying this for years. Malcolm X was saying this for years. But now they get pointed out because they're bad guys, and they're saying, they're looking at us like Rock says, vigilantes, and it's like, no, they're speaking the truth. They're trying to make you see what's really going on in this world.
Let me say this, right?
Last point, great.
Like it's hard to convince somebody that doesn't want to talk or listen to you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, in a case, it might be better for just another segment, ethnicity or whatever, to learn from their ethnicity.
Yeah.
Because then they can kind of put it and go,
great point.
Oh, well, you don't have no reason to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say it in a certain way.
Great
it's
point.
like if you getting tips about beef or not eating beef from a vegan. Well, which way are they going to slant you to? They don't eat it. You know what I'm saying? So
if you get an opinion from someone who did, like, yo, this is what you will try. Yeah. No, you're right. You'll hear it more. Yeah. Good point, Greg. Good point. All right. That was deep, fellas. That was deep. Let's move and let's jump into the next topic. The importance of voting. Frank, you had mentioned it several times. A lot is going to depend on this verdict. You know what I'm saying? By these elected officials that's in office in Minnesota. So, Greg, why don't you start us off with this, bro? What the importance of voting to make change possible? Go ahead, bro.
All right. So, and this is my opinion on the importance of voting. It can't be understated at any point and throughout history, because if you look back at what black people had to go through in America to vote, so many died to get the right to vote. Then when they had the right to vote, they had to recite the Constitution and get it exactly right, or otherwise they couldn't vote. So when you have a situation where people will say that they're not voting, or I'm not going to vote, me personally, I take offense to that, because somebody gave their life, and for you to have that right, mm-hmm. and to not do so is just whatever it is you just wasting away whatever they did.
Whatever they sacrificed.
To put you, to put you in a better place to be able to, even though you might not have full control over it, can somewhat control over what goes on. And the other point of it is to just do your homework. And I said this in the last podcast: do your homework, ask questions, email, call the person, go to town halls, do whatever you can to get as much information about the person you're gonna put into office. So this way you can actually get your questions answered before you elect them, and then you're just assuming that this person is going to do what you want. And that's how you would shape your government to fit what you need locally, statewide, and federally. It's just by doing your homework and making sure you're getting people whose like-minded views like you, or at least closely aligned to what you need. Like, personally, I'm in a union, so I look to make sure you're strong on unions. That you ain't gonna let some loosey-goosey try to loosen like union stuff that protects unions. That you just gonna let it just wake away in the wind. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's one of my big things. So that's just my opinion on it.
Okay. E, you want to get in on this?
Well, a real quick story. I won't take too long of it. My mom, a couple of years ago, when she went to become an American citizen, finally after many years of being in this country, she had to do a survey of tests and like Greg said, being able to not necessarily reset the Constitution, but there was so many things that she had to do to even show her citizenship. Now she had her residency. She was a resident card to be here, but to become an American citizen, you have to do so many things and do so many, take so many tests and recite so many things and be able to do so many stuff and know so many American laws and have you so forth. And one of the things that she was most concerned about, and this is my mom, and my mom has been in this country for many, many years. One of the things she was most concerned about is her opportunity to vote. That was her most thing. I want to be able to vote. I want to be able to vote. I want to be able to vote. And she takes voting, I think, more serious than me. And I'll be honest with you. And that's kind of crazy to say that, but the reality is that she was so concerned about being able to vote in this country and be able to have a voice. And my mom right now is 67 years old. She's been in this country now for probably over 40-something years now, maybe 30, 40 years now. And her having the right to be able to have a voice and to be able to be heard and to be able to say, I have the ability to vote, makes me understand and makes me like to be able to have the right to vote, to be able to go in and say, okay, I'm going to choose to pick who I'm going to have in office or in the White House or a councilman. I have to do my homework. I have to do this. Like Greg said, you have to do your homework and figure out who is going to be your next council person, because that council person is going to be your voice in your region, and who's going to be your senator, or who's going to be your governor, or who's going to be the person that's going to be in the White House, and so on and so forth. And then your kids are going to be watching and seeing who are you going to be voting for, where your vote's going to be, because they're the ones that are coming behind us. So, like, all right, Dad, well, what's going on? What are your views, and how do you see it going forward? Like, what are your views on politics? Now, they may have their own opinions, mind you, but one of the things that at least they need to understand is that the importance of voting and having a voice and being able to have this opinion and this right that we all, like our founding fathers and our founding people, have to be able to have this right to be able to vote, is the importance to be able to have this vote. Because if you don't vote and you have people in the White House that you don't want in that White House, then you can't complain about it, because by that point, if you didn't vote, then don't bitch. You know what I'm saying? Don't bitch about who's in the White House, because if you didn't put your voice in there, if you didn't vote, if you don't sit here and put cast a vote and say, all right, I voted for this person, at least I can say something. But if you didn't vote and you sat there and you sitting there in your own living room and you say, "Oh shit, we got another person in the White House. We got this so and so person in the White House," and you didn't vote. Guess what? You ain't got no reason, not one single reason, to sit here and say anything else other than the fact that you gotta sit there and eat your food and shut the hell up. Because that's the reason why you live in this country. Because at least in this country, you have the rights and you have the freedom to go into the ballot and place your vote. If you have if you register and you do your homework and you do what you're supposed to do, then yes, you can vote. If you're a resident or you're a citizen of this country, then you do what you're supposed to do and you place your ballot. But don't sit here and bitch in your living room or you bitch in your kitchen about somebody that's in the White House that you didn't place your vote. Because then now you're like the rest of the pigeons in the world who don't give a shit. Okay. So I take my part in voting very seriously. I vote for my council people. I vote for the people in the office. Now, do I do my homework? I do my homework to the best of my ability. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I don't. I do what I can, and I follow certain people in my region, in my district.
Mm-hmm.
But best believe, I have my people that I pick who I want to be in the White House, and I pick my people who's going to be my senator in my region, and I pick my council people who's going to be my councilman in my region. Mm-hmm. That's me. Now, other than that, I'll be honest, I don't really particularly give two shits about it, but I particularly care about these people, and that's what I need to care about.
Yeah.
But I don't particularly care too much about politics other than that. But other than those particular areas, that's what I need to be worried about. But my views on that's where I stand. But if you're not gonna vote, if you're not gonna put your ballot, if you're not gonna vote, if you're not gonna sit and go out and make a change in this country or change the area or change the region, then you ain't got no right to say anything. Okay. Point blank and simple. That's what you got. That's what you got this right to do. That's what you got this whole thing about having freedom in this country is to vote. And you don't take.
Are we really free? Are we really free though?
I mean, you have the right to do it.
That's how we really free.
You have the right to do. You have the right to vote. You have the right to vote.
No, I know
you got the freedom of not voting. You have the freedom of voting. You have the freedom of making choice. Yeah.
You have that's a freedom. You have the freedom to do either one. Yeah. Now, whether you want to do it or not, that's on your choice. That's completely up to you. But that is a God-given right that you have here in this country. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go to Russia or you go to China or you go to
where it's dictatorships, yeah, no, you don't.
You ain't gonna get that kind of freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. I don't mind being in this country and having to deal with that. And mind you, we have more issues that we have to deal with in this country. I understand what you're saying.
Too much freedom.
We got way more of the issues that we're dealing with. But at least I have the ability to go cast my vote and decide who's going to be in the White House in November.
All right. Joe?
So from the last time we all talked, I'm not a big politician fan. I don't believe any of them. I don't believe they do anything good for us. I believe they're only in there for themselves. Of course, if I know somebody has a gauge, I vote. You know what I mean? If I think, hey, you know what, everything this guy said is probably as close that can be as lined to me as possible, I'll go that route. But I don't believe any politicians for us.
Okay. Nice and short. Yeah. So you feel the same way, Frank?
My views on the government, I can go on and on with it, but America is built on high hopes and wants you to hope for certain things. Mm-hmm. If you guys can come out to me and let me know what law has changed by voting, let me know, because I don't know so many laws that have been changed by voting. I know a lot of laws have been changed by us marching, us rioting, us standing up for our rights. That's what I know when laws change. Like with this incident with the George Floyd, God forbid something goes wrong with this case, law is going to be changed. I have a friend of mine that's in the council in downtown Philadelphia, and all he did was outside of Philadelphia court system. It was he's actually a lawyer, and he was preaching about police reform, and he preached it, and went all the way up to Pittsburgh or Harrisburg, and now they're trying to do police reform it. So if he can do that by just speaking out to get certain things changed, then voting to me, like, it's hard for me to have high hopes. I'm not mad that we have different presidents. That's just the way the system is built. The system is not built for us. It's built for the one percenters and those people that's been built for. And so like Joe said, like, I'm not into the politics. I'm glad that we got Trump in there just because it really shows how America really is up front. And when white people get mad, that's when the whole world gets mad. So to get back to your point, E, with the voting, and Greg with the voting, I mean, yes, we want the right people in place in government.
Let me ask you a question.
We do. We want the right people in place for government, but the same thing is the next person's going to fall in line. That's the thing that bothers me. I get you in there, you do your term. Is the next person going to fall in line?
Hold on.
That's the thing that bothers. That's the kind of thing that kind of like, now I got to redo this again and redo this again.
Hold on. But let's just say your friend that just did that's just trying to get the police reform instituted. Let's say he ran for office and he was in, right?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Now, let's say that we see somebody. Let's see our sons 14, around that age. They see this. They see somebody that looks like them, somebody that comes from where they come from, somebody that talks like them. They see that, and then now they say, you know what? I want to get into politics. I want to do what he did. And so then that way we can start a trend where we get the same type of people like us that think like us, that have our best interests in heart in office, so that when he's done with his term, the next one can get in, because they're like, okay, and he fully endorses them and say, look, Frank, he has my same viewpoints, and I believe that he will continue the same things that I'm starting, that he will continue and see them through. So now we get you in there, and vice versa. Like, so.
But we're talking about the White House.
I know, but that's different. I'm talking locally. I ain't talking about.
But for us to actually,
it starts locally. Yes.
Us as people, us as African Americans, for me, the only way that we're gonna prevail and progress is separation. Me and Greg talked about the Black Wall Street. They separated themselves. From pretty much the United States, and start something small in Oklahoma. You know what I mean? They got so powerful that America was like, no, this can't not happen. So we got to come up with a story to destroy all this. So those are the things that bothers me, and that's why when I get into politics, it's like, don't feed me a high hope. I don't want to vote this year, the next year. Oh, I mean, another whole high
you want to
hope.
see action, I get you.
I want to see action, and for me to see action, it has to be separation. That's just because of, but by my research and me, following, Louis Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad and McCray, they always talked about separation. We need separation. You see, the Asians, you see, different ethnic groups, they separate themselves and they build themselves up. And if we can do that, then yeah. But my same thing is, it's the next person gonna fall in line, But I do say this: if Michelle Obama does go for
you voting?
I'm voting.
You voting?
I'm voting. I will vote for her.
All right, Greg, go ahead, finish it up, Greg.
They ain't not gonna tell no black woman nothing.
I was just gonna ask Frank, my thing is, when you look at communities that are already separated, so you go Chinese or someone from India, like those cultures, they after a few generations they assimilate, and those kids move out, and they don't stay tight. They still do the same circles, and they still have the same thing, but they move out of that normal area.
Yeah, but the tradition is still the same.
They keep the culture. What I'm saying is, at a certain point,
in the well.
Remember, yes and no. All right, so what happens is, all right, I'm trying to I got a lot of information here. The problem is, and I'm gonna have to go to the redlining process as far as listening. So, all right, as black people, when we were redlined, we couldn't buy out, so we couldn't buy the good land or the land that was more valuable. We had,
and that was a law that put in.
So they put
stop us.
So So the problem is you got generations believing that, oh, well, we just got to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stay in this area versus moving out with other cultures that, oh, well, I'm just going to go over here and set up shop. And if we get to that level, get rid of that mentality, oh, well, you just, like it's a negative connotation of, oh, you get rich and you just going to leave the hood. You're just going to leave out of here versus, hey, I'm just making a move. I'm going to make a move that's better for my family going forward, because now I got more valuable land that if something happens to me, I pass this down to my kids, and now my kids have that wealth.
And that's what we try. And that's what we're trying to do. But like we say, it's a lot deeper than that. With the racism of Black African Americans getting loans, getting certain things. It's blackball against us, so we can't do that. That's why we are stuck in these situations.
But a lot of things is just everybody, like the previous generations that had it like put behind the 8 ball. So we had to learn how to do it a different way. We had to learn how to do it the right way. Okay, so we got to build credit. Okay, we can't take on too much. We got to keep that even balance. You got to, so all that. So now you're able to get a house and all. So now you can pass that information down to your kid and everything. So to me, I don't think it's more separation. I think it's more information. But this way, hold on. I'm saying you want to pass that information on and set your kids up for success. That is how you get that ball, that snowball rolling forward for everybody. But the problem is, and y'all know this, you can't give that information to everybody because not everybody wants to hear that information.
Right, because they're brainwashed and they programmed.
Yeah, they're already mentally.
Our race is so hard to give information out, and that's the thing. Like it's very hard to do that, and for us to go to these, these communities and try to do certain things, it's like, oh, you think you're better than me. It's always something, you know what I mean? So us as a race is very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
But
we're stuck.
That's the only reason why I say, like, I don't believe it's the separation issue. It's something. It's something. Because they could be separate, but they still gonna have a problem getting the information and doing it the way.
Yeah, but you look at all. But you look at all the Asians in the United States. Like they keep it within themselves, in their communities, into their race.
They share that information that they get. It's in their schools. They have their Chinese, they have their Asian schools and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jews do the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Jews do the same exact. Mexicans, they live 5 and 6 in the house.
They teaching financial literacy. They teaching everything so that you can learn how to do that.
For us, it's so hard.
You said 5 and 6 in the house. That's a family. It's not a community. That's a family.
Well, I mean,
I'm talking about. I mean, when they have schools set up, like they go to, they go to public schools, but then they also go to, whatever the domination, Chinese or whatever. They have those schools, and in there they teach it. This is how you gain financial wealth or literacy in America. This is how you get your credit built. This is what you do. Like I agree with Frank on that part. Like I think in our communities we need to start doing that because they're not teaching us this at these schools. You know what I'm saying? They're not teaching us about, how to build your credit. What is credit? Why is credit more important than just having this paper cash? Like build your credit.
And I think schools should replace that more so than teaching these kids like math and that.
Yep.
So you have to use trigonometry. You know what I mean? I've yet to use calculus, algebra, like college level algebra, or anything in the supermarket or store or buying a car, like.
And I tell a lot of my friends as well too, like that have been work in the workforce for like over 10 years, 15 years, and they work and they're like, oh man, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. I'm like, dude, like you have a 401k, right? How much do you have in there? It only takes about $5,000 to start an actual business. You know what I mean? So
invest in yourself.
Invest into yourself. Don't sit there and work a 401k up for so long, knowing that it's 2020. 30 years from now, we're in a whole different evolution and world where that 100,000 is not going to make you survive.
Yeah.
You can't survive over 100,000 20, 30 something years ago. You got to kind of like plan, and that's what the system doesn't teach us.
Yep.
You know?
Generate
But
multiple
yeah,
streams of revenue and income.
But it's also being curious enough to ask questions to get information.
Yes.
And to me, and to me, it becomes a personal thing, and that's something like at a certain point.
You don't want to seem
like,
stupid, or you don't want to seem like I get you.
Yeah, well, not want to.
It's
Some
you
people
better
that-
than
some-
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just
Yeah.
becomes like you trying to help them, and somebody might not be receptive to the information. Like
Yeah.
They look at it as criticism too much.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure y'all been at work and y'all looking at somebody that might need some help, but you don't see them say something to somebody else a couple times, so you just like, hey, I can help them, but
He ain't asked me. Yeah.
they're not receptive to other people giving information. All right, I'm just gonna keep it to myself. You know what I mean? So,
Good points, man. Good. Now, speaking of information, Joe, what is cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency. So, I know right now cryptocurrency is still in the beginning stages, even though it launched in 2009-ish area. But cryptocurrency is a digital currency which uses encryption techniques and are used to regulate the generation of units in currency and verify the transfer of funds, operating independently of a central bank. So your advantage and disadvantages. Cryptocurrency is not 100% legal almost everywhere. Your advantage, it's not legal almost everywhere. It's brand new. So if you're looking to kind of be ahead of the game, or maybe even a new fund, a new currency that may be coming out, it may not be a bad idea to educate yourself and learn a little bit about it. Now, I know Frank and I have had these conversations. So, Frank, what do you think?
I think cryptocurrency is something like Microsoft for this generation. I think cryptocurrency is going to come to the point where people are going to stop relying on banks, start relying on the government, on funds where people generate the money. With cryptocurrency, people have control of the money. They can, I think, make the value go up or down, right, Joe? Yeah, so we can make, like right now, Bitcoin is probably at $96,000 for one. Do you ever see a dollar go higher than $1.05 or $1?
Well, hold on. How is that? How are you able to do that? How are you able to change the value of
So it's the more people that's involved with it, and the more people that's invested into the Bitcoin, the value goes up. As the value goes up, the Bitcoin gets, help me out, Joe. I think it gets divided each 10 years or 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, so what Bitcoin does, they divide their coins every, I forget the amount of years. But what happens is, since there's less coins out there, it now becomes more valuable because people can't get their hands on it. But on the same trend, if you want to build the value of a coin, a digital coin, I'm going to call it, because technically it's cryptocurrency is a digital coin. It's got to be volatile. And to do so, it's got to have an in and an out. So somebody's got to be buying, somebody's got to be selling. Somebody's got to offer something, somebody's got to buy something. I'll give you an example. Electronium, it's a cryptocurrency. It's it's not one of the brand new ones out there, but they are doing everything right. They're marketing. They got legal. You know what I mean? So if you want to know where your money's going, coming, all that stuff, it's 100% legal. They have so many security blocks in place that you're not going to have those. And I'm saying this, and part of me regrets I'm about to say this, but you can't have all those child molesters out there buying kids with Bitcoin, because nobody knows where that Bitcoin went. Well, with Electronium, the advantage is you got to know your buyer, you got to know your seller. So you can't really be a bad guy in the system.
So you buy these digital coins with American money, like with the dollar,
or according to your country, whatever.
Well, whatever currency,
right, whatever currency you're trading it in for.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so it's like, so think it as like this, guys. So remember when back in still now, think of your debit card or your credit card, right? So when you purchase something through, let's just say Walmart, right?
Mm.
Your bank and Walmart will do a transaction on the back end, meaning that they're doing a trade on the blockchain of certain fees. So Walmart might charge Visa not $1, it might be like,
80 some cents or something like that.
yeah, 80 some
Mhm.
cents, 90 some cents, or it might
Mhm.
be more than $1 on the back end. That's what they're charging Visa to do that, for you to do that transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So now everything is on the up on the front line, where now crypto is on a point where now human beings can do the transaction back and forth now. So now I can say I have a TV that I want to sell for 0.253 whatever Bitcoin, and you can say, okay, this I have the value of that. You know what I mean? You kind of get what I'm trying to say, kind of.
So how do you know what 2.34 is? Like that's what I'm saying. Like you would have to be in that particular digital coin to see the value of one coin, right?
Yeah, because each coin has like a calculator where you can
Gotcha.
type in how much coins you want or how much coins you want to sell or something like that.
Now, can you cash this out for your currency? Like, so let's say, like, all right, I have 20 Bitcoins or whatever, and that's worth whatever the rate is, and I say, you know what, I want to cash out. And then they cash you out and they give you whatever currency.
Yeah, so it depends on where you actually get the Bitcoin from. So if you get it off of a platform like Kraken or Bittrex or Binance or anything like that, there is a fee that you gotta.
Yeah, it's just like stocks and all. Yeah, no.
Right. So that fee you have to pay to that blockchain to transfer it to your account. Mm-hmm. Now, if you transfer that to your account, and say it's over 5,000, 10,000, don't be afraid if you get audited and they ask you where you got that monty from.
Yeah, anything over 10,000 is automatically drawn already.
But if you got it from like Coinbase, which is actually, what's the word I'm looking for, Joe?
Where you going? What was your initial statement? I'm sorry.
CIP, which is
talking about cashing out.
Yeah. So on Coinbase, they do background check and everything like that. So when you do cash out, say I want to cash out 15,000 from Coinbase of Bitcoin to my bank account, it's not going to be an issue.
Because it's already, like, the government is already, they trust Coinbase to know that this is the true value.
Coinbase is the U.S. regulated, that's the word I was looking for, regulated system for, if people want to use it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Anybody else got any questions on what cryptocurrency is?
And there's another guy, Joe, I want to tell you about. His name is Isaiah Jackson, I think it is. And Greg, you might want to take a look at it. He talks about Bitcoin. He said Bitcoin and Black America. It's called Bitcoin and Black America, and he states that this is the way he believes that African Americans can grow wealth without being held down by the banking system and the stuff that's holding us down. Because he put a perfect example of, like, he said if black churches knew about this back in like 2000, like what was it, 2009 or 2000? Yeah, 2009.
I think it was 2009.
Yeah, like 2009. That these churches could have definitely helped the black communities if they had invested in Bitcoin back then. Because you gotta imagine how much money comes into black churches.
And that's tax-free money.
That's tax-free money. So you imagine they take that 200,000 and bought Bitcoin. It was down there, not even $1 yet.
Mm-hmm.
They could have made billions.
What was this guy's name again, Frank? Like, where can they find? Where can he find information?
He's on YouTube. His name, I want to say his name is Isaiah Jackson, but it's called Isaiah Bitcoin. Jackson. Yeah, it's called Bitcoin and Black America. It's called.
Okay.
And he breaks down, how it helped African countries and stuff like that. So it's a good thing to get something to get. Because I'm saying cryptocurrency is like Microsoft now. Like once this thing start rolling and start picking up,
wish you was in there.
You're gonna wish you was in there.
Yeah.
And Me and Joe talk heavily about it all the time, and we think, I think, and I hope, I think he thinks that this is the next, currency that's going to take evolve.
All right, I'm interested in that too, so I'll chop it up with y'all, and we'll have the link to Isaiah. You said Isaiah Washington is his name?
Is his name right? Yeah, I think
Isaiah Jackson.
Oh, Isaiah Jackson. Yeah, we'll have it in the description on below on the YouTube.
Just so everybody knows, and it's not they declined it this year, but the United States of America is looking into digital coin.
I that's why I wanted to get this topic in, because I know that's the way of the future. They're talking about,
because Canada just legalized being a monetary, so that's one step there, and Bloomberg just doubled down on Bitcoin as well.
Okay, good information, fellas. All right, real quick, because one of the main things we talk about, other than issues like we discussed earlier, is sports. NBA set to return. Are you excited? No. Or you just rather watch the hardwood classics? I mean, like you don't want them to get back to the season.
I'd rather watch soccer.
Oh, well, see, but they doing the same thing. They took a break. Now they came back and they're playing without a crowd. Why the NBA can't do the same thing, bro?
Because they're not saying, "Oh, it's 22 games," and then the cup. They still going on with their season.
Well, but it was only like, how many games was left, Greg? Like 20?
Like 13.
Yeah, so they're finishing the season. They're finishing the season.
17 or something like that.
Yeah.
We all know they're trying to benefit from one person. We all know that.
And who's that person?
I gotta say his name.
Who's that person?
I'm good.
All right, what about you, Greg? You excited?
Love him off the court, though. Love him off the court.
Oh, yeah. Stand up. Like, first one to speak. First one.
Love him off the court.
All right.
Don't get that twisted.
Am I
Love him on the court,
excited?
too.
No, I'm a Sixers fan, so I'm not excited because our coach is holding my team back. So,
Are they involved?
We have a different coach.
They're in the 22 teams, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
It's the top 22 teams.
No, I know it was 22 teams, but I didn't know. Like, I didn't get it all into it.
No, it's the bottom 8 teams that wasn't going to make the playoffs or anything anyway.
So basically, I'm excited. Somewhat. I just know how the season ends, and I'm okay with it as long as we get a new coach.
So you okay with LeBron winning the chip?
I'm not. It's gonna be
what?
He's not
what? He's not what?
Gonna win the chip.
All
He's gonna win the chip.
All right, you said it here.
Who you think gonna win it, Greg?
LeBron.
I want to say if the Clippers.
All right, here we go. Paul George gonna break his ankle.
You don't think Giannis can? You don't think Giannis can
Fuck
do it?
no.
Like, put it like this. You can make an argument for a couple teams out of the East. There's only 2 teams in the West. I said, you
don't like the Rockets?
Who?
Stop playing, man. Stop playing with that.
And then they say they got the high. Then they say they got a chance to win it.
Who, the Rockets? Yep.
The Rockets say they got a chance to win it.
Nah, ESPN did some calculation type. You know how ESPN do, man. They got to come up with something.
You know what ESPN stats can go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like they literally came up with the defensive player of the year. Didn't have Ben Simmons in the top 5 category.
Who got defensive player of the year?
Listen.
No, their prediction. Yeah, their prediction.
But Ben wasn't in it. I'm like, yo, like he was only hurt for like 3 to 4 games before the draw ended. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he should still be in the consideration. It wasn't like they played a quarter of the season without him. Like, nah. Go ahead with the ESPN thing.
And then they starting up in December again?
Yeah, they said December 1st.
Because it's going to go to October, so they got to give them a little break.
Everybody taking a break the following season. Low management.
Well, they said they wanted to start early in December because of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Will be next summer.
It got pushed back, right?
So but see, to me, the NBA season is more important to the Olympics than the Olympics. And
it's America.
Guys play for. Well, like this, I get guys. Let me just say this. I get guys want to play for their country and everything, but at the same time, you are playing in this league. Like if something happens, like remember when Paul George got hurt? That ruined Indiana's season the next year. They were a viable finals contending team, even though they wasn't going to beat the Heat.
I don't know about that.
But America don't care. America's in that locker room like, look, we need this gold medal.
Yeah, for the Olympics, for the Olympics,
It's America.
Yeah. It's a business at the end of the day, so they need that. They need that gold medal.
They need that gold medal.
That gold medal does not affect the NBA, and y'all know that.
Well, I mean, it don't affect them because it's not mine. Yeah, America needs it. Yeah,
they need it, and they're gonna find a way to get people to do it. It's hard because like you said, Paul George got hurt and he messed his whole NBA career. Like he had to miss the whole season, right?
Yeah.
That ruined that Pacers team. That Pacers team was good too.
Yeah.
So
and why would you?
Roy Hibbert.
You playing in the NBA? they gotta that little back. What do you call it? That back.
The stanchion.
That gotta be further. Yeah, that gotta be.
But they moved it back. They moved it back after that. Yeah, they realized it was too close, and then that's why now you see on the baseline the camera dudes are moved back too. Like at first, remember they was up on the baseline, but they moved them all back. Like I think they moved them back like 6 feet. I think they moved it back a little bit. So I don't know the exact feet. Hey Joe, look that up. Look at how much they moved the stanchions back and the camera people back.
Yeah, it's just going to be hard coming back. I mean, it's just hard because you had that layoff, and it's like, are the players...
How did they keep in shape?
Right.
LeBron did.
I mean, he said he did, but...
he's showing video. He did, but he ready.
Well, I believe him.
4% body fat. Let's go.
I mean,
I think he does have the court at his house. And
he got everything there, yeah.
Yeah, so, he's going to be in shape. The guys that invested in having a basketball court in their house
and a gym,
and all that, they're gonna be ready to go. It's the guys that live in a loft, live in a penthouse, don't have a court to go to. They had to dribble in the kitchen. Like those are guys that might not be as sharp as.
They're not on the level of the LeBron and them, so they're just gonna come back at their normal level.
Yeah, but your
bench. Haven't noticed.
The bench.
You haven't noticed Rock is a diehard LeBron guy.
Right. But
not just Rock. He is too. Joe is too.
But remember, your bench and your core guys win you championships.
Yeah, now when you got LeBron on your squad.
What little time LeBron went to by himself?
You know what I'm saying?
Come on now. He relied on everybody else.
You see what Golden State had to do? They had to go get 4. Like, yo, we need this boy too good. Like, we need another one. KD, come on. Draymond them crying. Come on, E. I know you're going to jump in here.
No, because Golden State beat him by themselves.
He had him up 2-1 with Matthew Dellavedova. Like, come on,
but
man.
They all drafted. But it's not but it wasn't like Golden State built the team. They all got drafted.
And that was a good job. I give Golden State front office credit.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, if you can't get mad at a team, like you can't get mad at a Spurs.
I'm not mad at them.
You know what I mean? Because they built the team and got good draft picks and built a team that can beat somebody where a guy got to go say, no, I need this guy, I need this guy. Like,
but if LeBron would have had Kyrie and Love, Golden State wouldn't have won that year. They would. All right. You want to add on to this, E? You happy the season coming on?
No.
I'm
good. Let's just go ahead on.
Why? Because the Knicks ain't in it?
Jesus Christ.
Was the Knicks ever in it?
I got no say so with it. I mean, for what?
Because you're part of the podcast.
Whatever.
So they're looking like Al Bundy. I know. They're looking like Al Bundy sitting over there.
I'm great. The season. I'm glad. Am I glad that the season's back for the sake of basketball? Just keep basketball back.
Yes.
I think it's gonna make a difference. Not really. I really don't care. If it's not a full season, it should not even be played.
They're finishing out. How many games is it, Greg? 12 games? They're finishing out the season.
I think it's like 8 games.
No, I think it's more than that. I thought it was 12.
I'm gonna be honest.
Is it like 5-6 games a day? Isn't it?
Yeah, they're playing.
It's only like 8 games.
I'm gonna give you an opinion. This is just only an opinion.
Hey Joe, look that up for me, Joe.
What am I looking up? How many games?
Yeah.
If America's pastime, which is baseball, had a hard enough time trying to get on the field, why the hell you think we should have basketball? When baseball is so much more, I guess, people want to see baseball just like they want to see
Because
basketball.
they cater into somebody. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I
NBA is
Now it's not
catering to
one.
somebody.
Like, come on, it's not one dude. Like, here you go.
What you mean? He was the main one. Greg,
All of them want to play. All of Greg. No, all of them wanted to do it.
No, he was the main one.
They had to go through the NBPA, man. They had to vote on this. All of them wanted to do
He
it.
was the main one. Bring NBA back.
Well, hold on. Let me just say this. They had to bring it back because the money lost from the TV
money. They weren't gonna get paid.
Here you
the
go.
regular season.
Somebody had to bring it back.
They weren't gonna get paid.
But hold on.
Am I glad that it's back? Okay.
Oh, great talking.
Go ahead, Greg.
So the regular season, if they didn't get the TV money, then like
they couldn't pay.
The salary cap goes down.
Yep.
Which affects
everybody. Owners, everybody.
They're catering as one person.
Cut it out, man. Joe, how many games, Joe?
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
Look up NBA proposed. Hey Joe, look up NBA proposed schedule in July. Something like that. For those who don't know who's listening and looking on YouTube, when we say "Hey Joe," Hey Joe's like Siri and Google. Look, my phone woke up when I said that.
What's gonna be funny is it's gonna be funny if the Lakers don't win. That's gonna be the funny part.
How you a Laker fan and you rooting against? Like, you banned now. Go ahead. You banned now. You banned now.
I'm not. That's gonna be the funny part.
Teams will play 8 regular season games apiece.
Okay.
Before possible play-in tournament for 8th seed in each conference.
But how many? Hey Joe, how many games had they played prior to the quarantine? 22. 22.
22. Yeah.
So you have to be within 6 games. You have to be within 6 games of the 8th seed to be invited to Orlando.
Which makes sense because they had they had like 12 games. Yeah. Because you had like 12 games left for 13 games.
Not the Knicks.
This dude Wi-Fi. This dude Wi-Fi is. You need to get that fixed, bro. That joint keep cutting in and out. This is wild.
Hey, yo, real quick.
What's up, Joe?
On the camera side of it, it looks like they're working on some sort of 6-foot and a mask or a new Hawkeye type camera.
Oh, that's up in the air, like on the
it's all kind of in the air.
That's gonna be awful to watch. I'm about to be on Frank's court.
It's gonna be like 2K, Greg. You gonna like it? It's gonna be the 2K. It's gonna be the 2K view.
I'm telling you, man. It's gonna be so.
Y'all hate it.
This generation.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna do that, Greg.
This generation can't play without crowds. That's the funny thing. That's why I'm like. That's why I'm like. They know they can't play without no fans.
He can't hear you.
Is Grandpa talking or is that Frank?
Dude, his don't keep freezing up. Like, you need to call Cox and get your internet checked, bro.
You need to pull that wife beater.
Joe, are you glad the NBA season coming back? Real quick.
I don't watch basketball.
I don't watch. It doesn't matter to me.
He in my boat. I don't watch basketball.
Yeah, right. You be sending me clips. You sure what's in there? I can't watch a full. I'm honest. I can't watch a full game either. Like I be like, let me turn this on. Cut it on the last 5 minutes of the game if it's close to see how they do.
Even highlights, I get upset. I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
All right. So before we close it out, we had a question from one of our subscribers on YouTube. Real quick, spend like a minute or so on this.
Shout them out.
I'm sorry. Shout out to the subscriber, Nick Winfield. You know, he watches every episode on YouTube, or listen to it until now. Every episode on YouTube and everything. So, shout out to Nick Winfield. Which era in the NBA had the better players?
I'm going first. 1990.
Okay. The
1990s.
90s. Yeah.
In the '90s, you had people going out, like some of the greats, like Magic Johnson and everything, going out, and you had a lot of the new players, like for me, Alonzo Mourning, I always thought was a good ball player.
Alonzo Mourning was a beast.
Larry Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
you know, these guys were coming in, and I think it was a decade where you saw the transition into a different, younger crowd coming in. Like it was a change in perspectives, and then of course, following that, you had Allen Iverson showing up on the thing too. So
Sure.
it was the change. I think that was the best era.
VA finest, Greg. Shut up.
He's trash.
What? Who, AI? Oh, you live in Virginia?
Look, Grandpa got it right. I agree with Grandpa.
Here you go.
He is trash.
One of the greatest Sixers of all times, Greg. Now take that.
Trash.
Yeah. Can Ben Simmons get him to the finals by himself? Think not.
He is trash.
So which era, E? Since you talking,
I agree with you. I like the 90s.
you don't like the 70s when the Knicks actually won a chip?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't like,
You don't like winning.
No.
He is trash. Allen Iverson trash.
Greg, which era, Greg?
He is trash.
Wow. There's a lot of good eras, man. Rest in peace to Wes Unseld, who passed away.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I had an argument, Greg. I had an argument with some guy, friend of mine. He was like, "How is Unseld in a Hall of Famer? He only averaged 13." And I said, "All right, I gotta stop with you."
Wes Unseld.
Yeah.
What? Nah.
Yeah,
he was
That boy don't know ball, man. He don't know ball. Like that's like I can't talk to people like that.
I was like, "What?"
Uh,
He was because he was looking at the stats. You know what I mean? That's what like this generation they look at stats and it's like he only averaged like 12 and like 13. I'm like, dude, look at his resume. Look what he's done.
What?
Since he got into the NBA.
What?
Him and Wilt are the only two players to win Rookie of the Year and
Yeah,
MVP in the same season. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
if you win anything with Wilt and it's just you,
Yeah.
look, you was doing something.
I mean, granted that could have been a fluke one year, but he had years of production, so he is
won the
a.
NBA, and he won an NBA championship.
Yeah,
So,
His first year though. His first year, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was like he won his
not
first
like-
year. He got MVP. Then he won.
Hey,
his
we have
first year,
Joe
first
for
year.
that. Hey Joe, when did Wes Unseld win the championship? Did he win a championship his first year?
Hey,
Go ahead,
Greg.
keep on.
Greg, was it his championship, Rookie of the Year, and something
MVP.
else? An
And
MVP.
MVP, yeah. I think he did that his first year.
Yeah,
I'm not
like you
mistaken.
don't see that
Like,
too
yeah,
often.
like you're not. I mean,
Thanks, Joe.
for real, be honest. Anybody does that, like, how's your career going to be the same? Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You've already peaked.
Yeah, your ceiling is high. Yeah, you done set your bar high, so it's like,
Like,
how do I get to that again? I got to win a
Somebody
championship
spell out
every
my
year. Unseld?
Yeah. spell it.
UNSELD.
What? All right, Frank. While he looking that up, what's your era? Real quick.
I never gave my error, by the way. But
Oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Frank.
No, go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg. No, my bad. Go ahead.
Because I'm so
Okay. All right, we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Frank.
1978.
78. Did he win the chip that year? That was the year he won the chip too. My bad, Frank.
Yeah, with the Bullets.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have to say the '90s. That's because I'm gonna say '90s, 2000, early 2000.
Because Kobe won the chip.
No, that's when I like watch like I watched Mike when it was just the Bulls,
Mm-hmm.
and like even when Kobe was coming up, you still had like Dirk. I mean, you had quality, you had good players,
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally sounded players
AI.
in the league.
Yep.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you had like the Grant Hills, the Anthony Hardways. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you had players like I'm a footwork guy. Like, I like to see.
Greg, don't make that face again.
I like to see. I like to see
like
moves
a
with
hype
less.
man for guys.
Yeah, I like to see moves with less dribble and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. Like, I
Uh-huh.
like to see, moves where you can create without dribbling the ball. So that's
Mm-hmm.
me. It has to be like the '90s, like the early 2000s was like my era.
Okay.
Era that I like, and I think that's the best.
Greg.
I'm gonna. I'm kind of torn because, like, I would say 90s,
Mm-hmm.
but then if I'm looking at talent and what guys can do, And I agree. I know what you're saying, Frank, because like fundamentally, like now they're not as fundamental as it with the talent that you see on the floor. What guys could do at right now when we look at them, like it's crazy. So I'm trying to decide between 90s and.
But who can you watch this like in this generation?
LeBron.
I watch like me personally. I'm a fan of all around players, so that's why I was drawn to guys like
LeBron,
SP, Scottie Pippen, and
LeBron's a better Scottie Pippen.
Come on, man, stop.
Robert Parrish.
Exactly. Penny Hardaway.
Penny, because Penny got trashed when he got out the not trash, but once his knee.
Orlando.
Early Penny was tough.
Tree Rollins.
Just watching certain guys like wing players like Grant Hill.
I'm talking about
early Grant Hill.
I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Like now. Like what players can you?
LeBron.
You go watch Kevin Garnett. Maybe Kevin Durant. You can watch. Now, see, here's
Kevin Durant's
I'll give you a name. But people are gonna.
I hope they're my guy. I hope they're one of the guys I like watching.
Who, Harden?
Not now.
If you just took away his offense and just looked at what he did on the floor, like Ben Simmons is a talent.
Ah, shit. Mute. All right, so dog, hold up. He gonna call AI trash, but this ain't this. This ain't.
Let us speak.
This ain't Ben Simmons. He gonna call AI trash.
Let him speak. Let him finish.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Me and Frank having a conversation about basketball. Y'all just looking at names.
No, so AI just a name. I'm about to mute you now again. Like, AI will just know that. Cut it out.
He was talent.
AI did one thing, bro. Like I'm talking about all around game,
fundamental game.
When you look at what
he can't shoot.
That's one. You talking about one little.
So that's not all. He can't do everything. Then he can't do everything. He can't do everything.
He can score.
He can what?
He does everything.
Score.
Okay.
He rebounds, he assists, he steals, he plays defense. Like he legitimately guards.
He does play D. I do give him that. He does play D.
Like when you look at what he does, the one thing he doesn't do is shoot. Like so, when I watch guys, me personally, like I said, I watch guys that do a little bit of everything. Anybody like you giving us somebody enough shots, they gonna get points. You know what I mean? You
especially in the league now.
20, like you
in the league now.
You can't guard them.
Okay.
You give somebody 20-something shots, hey, you gonna get yours.
Yeah.
But for you to have an effect all over the game, another dude that I like to look at, Frank, kind of quirky, but I like Jokic. Like he's not real fundamentally footwork wise, but he's got a nice
no
game.
D. All right, so which era, Greg? Like we'll get into that at a later podcast. We ain't gonna get into those.
I'm gonna go. I'll go 90s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Early 2000s was crazy.
Yeah, I say early 2000. I say early 2000 because that's when you had AI, Cole, Shaq.
What is AI?
Hey, bro. Hey, bro.
I'm talking about the Jason Kidd.
VA, stand up. AI killed Jason Kidd. AI killed Jason. AI killed Dirt. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know what your boy Cole said. He had to go change up his whole shit after guarding this man. Like, come on, man. Killer.
I'm talking about
killer, Greg. Killer.
I'm talking about Jason Kidd. Has AI had a triple double?
Yeah, he had a triple double.
Man.
Hey Joe, when did AI have a triple double?
No.
Fuck out of here. But
he's had 10 turnovers before.
and so has Ben. someone you like to watch. So has Ben Simmons. 10 turnovers and 10 air balls.
Yeah, I like the early 2000s because you had the Garnetts. You know what I mean? You had
a lot of skill play. Yeah, no, it was a lot. Yeah,
but Greg, you know who I like watching? He just got.
This ain't what this about, bro. This ain't this.
He got Devin Booker. If he gets on another team,
yeah, Devin Booker.
Oh my God.
Nah. Devin Booker's nice.
I'm not saying he's not nice.
Devin Booker's nice.
Here's my thing, Frank.
His sister nice.
But
what?
Greg, he don't dribble as much now.
But my thing with him is like his play's not affecting. Like he's not affecting winning. You know what I'm saying?
Because look at the team he's on.
Bruh, you still been in the league for years or so. Like it's time to stop putting up stats. Like push your stats down, start winning. Like you know what I mean?
But then he needs to put those points because their team is like. I think if they had a chance, I think his points will come down and his game probably would change. But the Suns is like they need him to score because if he don't score 30 or 40, they're getting blown out. Because remember they're still scoring in the high 90s, 100s.
He needs to play more off ball. Like if he went to, in my opinion, I'm not a coach. I'm just saying if he went to more of a Reggie Miller, like a Clay, like a Steph, giving up the ball, moving, catching it. Making the defense work to get him off, like run, like
he does play the two sometimes.
Chase on. He does it sometimes. I'm talking about all the time. Like you know what I'm saying?
But they got a point guard. Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. He needs a point guard so he can run that way.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And just be lethal. That
he is nice. He is a nice.
How they do it? How they doing it now with him? It doesn't.
Yeah, because that's all they got. So that's what I was saying. Like if he gets to another,
maybe AI need to come out of retirement.
Because his game, like, is the way he reads the game, and it's a 2-dribble pull up. It's not too many dribble. It's like, it's a jab step pull. Like it's very fundamental
compact,
where he can compact. Where like if he was on a team, like it might be an issue.
All right. Well, just to close it out, AI did have a triple-double against the Clippers in 2002. Just to let you know, you know what I'm saying? 30 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, brother, and 116-92 victory. So we're gonna close this out.
Notice when he said one.
No. I'm giving you one of the one. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, you say he never had one. You know what I'm saying?
I don't remember he having one, but that's something I don't know.
Hey, well, exactly. So you can't speak on it.
Hey, man, AI was talented. He was very talented guy.
Triple doubles, AI or Ben Simmons?
Hold up. 10 rebounds, 11 assists when you can't shoot. You better have a triple double being 11 feet tall.
That's what you need on your point guard.
Shit, you need that nigga to shoot the ball. That's what you need him to do, so they can win a playoff. So they can win a playoff series and go to the final. That's what you need him to do.
They almost did, and that was his second year, wasn't it?
Nah.
Well, if they would have called travel.
Third.
They called travel Kawhi.
He can't call. Ain't no travels in the NBA. You know that. 5 steps.
But his first year, his first year, didn't he make it? He made it the second round, right?
It's James Harden. No, I think they lost I think maybe the first or second, whatever round they played Boston and they lost. I think that was the second round. Or maybe that was the first. I can't remember. It don't matter. They ain't going nowhere. It don't matter. But all right, that was a good pod, fellas. Wanted to give a shout out to at the beginning. I meant to shout this out. Shout out to Fezek Athletics. They sponsored the podcast. We all still waiting on our care packages, but I guess those are in the mail.
Don't put just on shout out my company. Just reach out and say, hey, can we get a care package? That's
but you're the sponsor. You're supposed to send it out so that we can come on the show. Now that we got video, we can wear that nice sweatshirt you got. You know what I'm saying?
I got you guys.
All right.
What was always trying to get something for free?
Free? How's it free when you sponsor the podcast?
Sorry, messing with
Can you make sure you get a couple shirts so we can
get him a better get him a better tank top like that.
Get him better brawl beater or whatever.
Text me your sizes. I got you guys.
All right, bro. All right, fellas.
Don't lie. 2 sizes smaller, bro. 2 sizes smaller.
But we want to shout out everybody, who listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube. This is our first video. So there'll be more to come. You fellas be safe out there, man.
All right, man. Y'all take care.
All right, everybody.
All right, man.
All right.
All right.
Hell on.
Hell on.